So today we're going to take a look at Learning Target 9, which is solving equations. Day 5, we're going to step it up a bit and have equations with variables on both sides. So step 1, when we are solving equations, anytime we're solving an equation, you're going to want to simplify as much as possible. So when we take a look at our first example, 3n plus 2 equals negative 2n minus 8. When I look at each side of the equal sign, 3n plus 2, there are no like terms. Negative 2n minus 8, there are no like terms. So each side is already simplified. So we're going to move on to step 2, and I think this one is important to do first. It's not necessarily that you have to get your variables together first, but it's easier to get your variables together first. And the way that we move our variables is the same way that we move our numbers. If I wanted to cancel my minus 8, I would add it. Instead, I'm going to cancel my negative 2n by adding it. So I'm going to follow the golden rule. Whatever I do to one side, I'm going to do the same thing to the other. Now, the reason that I chose the negative 2n instead of the 3n is that you want to try and keep your coefficient positive. Let me remind you of what a coefficient is. It's a number that we multiply by a variable. So in our original equation, we have two coefficients. 3 is the coefficient in the term 3n, and negative 2 is the coefficient in the term negative 2n. The other numbers that don't have variables are called constants. So you want to move the variable term with the smaller coefficient so that you keep your coefficient positive. So over on the right-hand side, we're going to cancel. 3n plus 2n gives us 5n. And don't lose the negative sign. A lot of students, when they cancel the term in front of a subtraction sign, just drop it. Remember, subtracting means add the opposite. That's really a negative 8, so don't lose that negative sign. All right, now this looks like an equation that we're used to solving. So the steps for solving this are the same steps that we've already seen. I'm just going to go ahead and show them all. So what I would like you to get in the habit of doing is writing the steps down and then canceling them backwards. So if I knew what n was and I substituted a value in for n, I would first multiply it by 5, and then I would add 2, using order of operations in the correct order. So when we're solving, we're going to use order of operations backwards. To cancel adding 2, I subtract 2. Use the golden rule, subtract 2 from both sides of the equal sign. Remember, on the side with the variable, it cancels, simplifying, leaving us with 5n. We don't actually subtract 2, we use it to cancel. On the right-hand side, negative 8 plus negative 2 is negative 10. Going back to my work, I'm going to continue working my way up, canceling the multiplication of 5 by dividing both sides by 5. Using the golden rule, whatever you do to one side, do to the other. On the side with the variable, why did I divide by 5? To cancel my multiplication. Simplifying, leaving me with n. And negative 10 divided by 5 is negative 2. All right, so we've got our process on the right-hand side. Simplify each side of the equation. In this case, my expressions on either side of the equal sign are already simplified. So now I want to get my variables together. Remember, cancel the smaller coefficient. So my first coefficient is 8. My second coefficient is 7. 7 is smaller than 8, so I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. Canceling on the right-hand side, and again, not losing my negative sign. On the right-hand side, if I have 8 y's and I take away 7 of them, I have 1 y left, or just y. And now we're going to solve. And this time, if I knew what y was, I would just subtract 7, and that's it. So to cancel it, working backwards, I'm going to add 7. Canceling on the left-hand side, negative 2 plus 7. Think about the process for adding integers. Hopefully you came up with 5. All right, we're going to look at one more before the end of this video. Again, this one is already simplified on both sides. So I'm going to get my variables together. 5 is my first coefficient, and -4 is my second coefficient. -4 is smaller, so I'm going to cancel my -4k by adding 4k to both sides. Make sure you are combining variables with variables, that you're combining your like terms and not trying to add variables to constants. All right, on the left-hand side, I've got my -12. 5k plus 4k is 9k, equals 15, and my -4k cancels with my positive 4k. All right, so now I'm going to take a look at what I would do to the k if I knew what it was and I substituted a value in. I would first multiply by 9, and then add a -12. I'm going to drop the plus sign and just leave it as a subtraction. So to solve, I'm going to work backwards and cancel my -12 by adding 12 to both sides. So the -12 and the positive 12 cancel, leaving me with 9k, and 15 plus 12 is 27. Continuing to work backwards to cancel my multiplication of 9, I'm going to divide by 9. On the side with my k, my 9's cancel, and 27 divided by 9 is 3.